Hi, everyone. It's Helen here. Thanks for joining me today. So, we are making our way through the book of Matthew. We are in chapter 7, verse 15, which is one of my absolute favorite verses in the whole entire Bible. It's really become a lifeline for me over the last few years. And this one is about a tree and its fruit. And so, Jesus is very specific here. He tells us that you will know a tree by its fruit. You will know people by their actions, is really what he's talking about here. And he goes into great detail to tell us that we need to beware of false prophets. And these are people who are going to come dressed in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. We all know those people, guys. We either live with them, work with them, go to church with them. These are the people who are going to come and tell you that they are something completely different than they are. All right, so these are people who maybe show up in their Sunday best at church and they play the part there. They tell you all the things you want to hear. They're praising the Lord, but you run into them after church, maybe once or twice a week, and these are people who are gossiping, and these are people who are speeding and cussing and yelling and argumentative and judgmental. And you have to question, like, is that the same person that I see every Sunday at church? So you start asking yourself, which person are they? And Jesus makes this very clear. You're going to know them by their fruit. So if on Sunday mornings is the only time that you see them acting this particular way, but the other 90% of the time you see them acting that way, that's a pretty clear indicator about the fruit that they're bearing. Okay. So, and Jesus is super clear. He says, can a bad tree produce good fruit? And can a good tree produce bad fruit? He says, no. And he says that every tree that produces bad fruit is going to be actually thrown into the fire. And so he's not going to even have anything to do with that. And right here, as he talks, he's like, you will identify people by their actions, just as a tree can be identified by its fruit. And so for me, this has been a game changer, because I am somebody who likes to see the best in people, which I don't necessarily feel like that's a terrible thing. However, with that particular quality, I have been burned over and over again by people that I thought I knew, people that I thought cared, people that I thought meant well, and to find out that that wasn't the case. And so I hung on to a lot of relationships that I probably shouldn't have for longer than I should have. And I had a counselor point me to this particular scripture a few years ago. And because I was going back and forth with, like, well, this person, sometimes they're this, but a lot of the time they're this. And they had to just stop me in my tracks and like bring me back to the word, which is Jesus speaking, and say, Jesus said, you will know them by their fruit. It takes all the guessing out of it, regardless of who this person says they are, how are they acting? What is their behavior? And so we're not talking about perfection here, guys. Of course, everybody has a bad day, where you're tired or you're grumpy or you cut somebody off in traffic or you lose your cool. This is not what we're talking about here. We're talking on a regular, consistent basis, this person actively sinning and kind of going against the good fruit. And when I say good fruit, it would be somebody who is like kind and patient and good and gentle and forgiving and, generous. That would be exhibiting good fruit. Bad fruit might be, people who on a continuous basis like gossip, put you down, tear you down, don't want to see you do well, very unforgiving, bitter. That would be producing bad fruit. And so Jesus wants us to stay away from these ravenous wolves who want to take us down with them. In fact, he warns us of them. And so for me, though, you have to really keep your eye out. So just because somebody, we'll just use Christianity here, maybe somebody, wears a cross around their neck, or maybe somebody has the bumper sticker in their window, or maybe, like I said, they show up to church every Sunday, but then you don't see them otherwise behaving in this way. You have to be careful, because all of those are good things. Wear a cross necklace or throw a Christian bumper sticker in your back window. But if you are not exhibiting those along with many other things, then you really have to question, what it's all about, because this is where hypocrisy comes in. And that's where I really feel like sometimes Christianity, amongst other religions, get a bad rap, is because people see these things like around your neck or in your back window or you at church, and then they see you behaving in a completely different way, through the week, or to your wife or to your spouse or in your workplace. And so they start to like, wait a second, these aren't consistent here. And so we have to be very, very, very careful about these type of people and the people that we are hanging around, honestly, because we already know that if you surround yourselves by these people, they're going to ultimately, in this one, like a ravenous wolf, they're going to eat you alive. They're going to take you down. And so, yes, we are called to love. Jesus is very clear about that. In fact, the number one commandment is to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor. We are called to love, but we're also called to guard our hearts above all things, because everything that you do flows from it. So you have to actually be really safe about how you handle this. There's this fine line. So it's saying, I'm going to love you, I'm going to pray for you, but I'm going to love you from afar. And again, when you hear this, like that little like verse, when it says, believe who people are when they show you who they are, not who they tell you who they are, but when they show you who they are, because that's really who they are in their inner being. So he cuts to the chase here. He makes it very, very, very clear for us that we're going to know them. And so if you are exhibiting bright, beautiful, luscious fruit, you're going to know that, those people. And the people who are moldy and are rotten and squishy, you're going to know that really fast too. So I hope you enjoyed this little Bible study. Again, this is something that helps me on a daily basis. I work in customer service, and I have for the last 30 years. I was a flight attendant, so I worked with people from all around the world. I now own a coffee shop. And so, friend, I have for the last 20 years. So I deal with people on a daily basis. So this has been something that has really taken out a lot of the guessing work for me, so that I don't have to go back and forth with like, is this person who they say they are? Or what kind of a person is this? After a month or two, you normally figure that out pretty fast. So you know like who you want to let in and who you need to keep at a distance. And guys, this can work for any relationship in your life. Like I said, whether it be family, professional, your church. So definitely a great, great scripture for you to be able to go to, and Jesus will help you to have the discernment to figure out who needs to stay and who needs to go. Have a great evening. God bless.